So in lesson 2, we learn a new series of initials, 声母, and finals, 韵母. So first, let's begin with the initials we learned in lesson 2. Okay. So in lesson 2, we learned two groups of initials, which is the first group, 知, 吃, 诗, 日, and second group, 资, 吃, 思. Okay, and we say the difference between these two groups is that 资, 吃, 思 is like we use the tip of the tongue to block the front part of the mouth. So in phonetics, we say this is a supradental, okay? Supradental. So we use the tip of the tongue to block the front part of the mouth to make the sound. And comparatively, the second group, this one, like 知, 吃, 诗, 日. So it's like in phonetics, we say this is a blade palatal, okay? Blade palatal, okay? So we use the tip of the tongue to block the back part of the mouth to make the sound. So you can feel the movement of your tongue. So we can read it this way. 资, 知, 思, 吃, 思, 诗. And this one compared to 诗, 日 is voiced. Okay. So these are the initials we learned in lesson 2. Okay. Now let's move to finals. So finals, we learn a group of finals begin with the final U. You can see that all these finals, they are begin with the final U. So like this one, wa, wo, wai, wei, wan, wen, wang, weng. Okay, so these are the finals we learned in lesson 2. Okay, and also we learn a new knowledge of the tones. So which is 轻声, the neutral tone. Okay, 轻声, the neutral tone. And we learn some key knowledge of this 轻声. So we know that 轻声is a variant of the four tones in speech. It is not a kind of the fifth tone because there are only 4 kinds of tones in Chinese language. There's not a fifth kind of tone. So 轻声 is not a fifth kind. It is just a change, or we say it's a variant of the 4 tones. And 轻声 is always pronounced lightly and briefly and without any stress, of course, because it is so light. And in writing system, according to the spelling rules, 轻声 is indicated in Pinyin by the absence of any tone mark. So when you see a Pinyin syllable and there's no tone mark, and we know this is the 轻声. Okay, let's read all these 轻声. 妈妈，白的，好了，爸爸. Okay, let's read again. 妈妈，白的，好了，爸爸. And you can see, you can feel by yourself, all these 轻声 is influenced by the syllable like before it. Okay, so that's why we say that 轻声 is not a fifth kind of tone, because it is like in the practice, in reading practice, 轻声 can be influenced by the syllable before it. So there's not a certain tone for 轻声. It's always like, it's changeable, okay? So it's a variant of the 4 tones. Okay, and about the spelling rules, like in writing Pinyin syllable, we have a certain kind of special spelling rules. And by far, in lesson 2, we learn all these like this. Like in case of non-initial, okay, so there's no initial in a Pinyin syllable, and there are only finals like final I, U, Yu, and in lesson 2, we learn final begin with Wu, okay, like Wa, Wo, Wai, etc. So in spelling rules, in writing system, like if there's only a final E, we add a letter Y. And this Y is like voiceless, okay? It's just like writing symbol. And if it is only wu, we add a letter W. And this W is like voiceless, okay? This W is only a writing mark, doesn't stand for anything. And if there's only a final yu, it's a little bit complicated. So first we add a letter Y, okay? This letter Y is only a writing symbol. It's nothing, okay? This is letter Y. And then we change this yu like into like a wu. So we remove the two dots above yu. This is very could be challenging, could be confusing to us. So when you see like a pinyin syllable like this, like yu, we know this is like a yu. So don't confuse by this like a letter u. This letter u stands for yu, not wu, not this wu. Because according to spelling rules, if there's only a final yu, first we add a letter y, and then we remove the two dots of yu, change this yu into u. Okay, and in lesson 2, if there's only a final like wa, wo, y, etc., according to spelling rules, in writing system, we change this u, okay, this u, letter u, into the letter w. And this w, actually this w is the final u, okay? So this w is not voiceless. It's not like just a writing symbol. This w stands for the final u. So in spelling, we say this is wa, wo, y, wei, wan, wang, wen, weng. Okay, so this is by far the spelling rules we have learned. Okay, so don't forget that. And don't confuse by some, like when you see some pinyin syllable and we don't know where does it come from, okay? Okay, and now let's review the dialogue by far we have learned. So basically in lesson 1 and lesson 2, we learned the basic items in Chinese. So in daily life, like when we meet each other, so first we need to make greetings to each other. So this is very basic form. So in lesson 1, we learned 2 very basic greeting items, which is 你好, okay, 你好, and 您好, okay, 您好. So 你好 just means hi, hello, hi, hello. And 您好, we know that 您 is a more polite form of 你, okay, 您, which also means like you, okay, it's 您 also means you, but 您 is a polite form of 你, okay. So when we meet like seniors, like or people of upper class, like your boss, your professor, okay, or maybe when we're in like a business circumstance, when we are in business occasion, so for people meet for the first time and we want to show respect to each other, so we use this 您. But we don't use 您好 between close friends or your classmates, okay? It could be strange if you use 您好 to your friends, okay? Okay, so this is the difference between 你好 and 您好. And in lesson 2, we learn another greeting items, which is 早上好, and pay attention to this 上. This one is a 轻声, a neutral tone, okay? So 早上好, 早上好, which means good morning. And we know in Chinese language, 早上 particularly means the time period from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., okay? So this is the difference between Chinese and English, because in English, morning could be means the whole morning, okay? Maybe even until the 12 o'clock is all morning. But in Chinese language habit, so 早上 means like particularly from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. So this is early morning, okay? So when you meet your friend or meet your teacher, your classmates in early morning, so you can say 早上好. Okay, so how to respond to these greeting items? So you can like respond with the same thing, okay? So 你好, and you also say 你好. 您好, maybe 您好, okay? 早上好, and in response, we also say 早上好. Okay, so try to use this in your daily life, okay? These greeting items. And then in lesson 2, we learn a very useful question, a very useful one, to ask about nationality, which means where are you from? Where do you come from? Okay, so how to say this question? Let's review together, okay? So 你是哪国人? Okay, let's say again. 你是哪国人? Okay, in Chinese characters, it's written like this, like 你是哪国人? What, like, where are you from? What's your nationality? Okay, this is a very useful function dialogue, okay? When you like meet others for the first time, so you want to know where do you come from, because we are all international students, okay? So you can use 你是哪国人? And how to answer this question? We answer with 我是. So 我 means I or me, right? 你 means you. 你 like 你好, right? Like this 你好, right? You. And 我 means I, okay? 我是 I am. 我是 like some 国, like a certain country, 人, okay? So 我是 something 国人, okay? This is in Chinese characters. Means I am like from a certain country, okay? For example, 我是中国人, I am Chinese. 我是巴基斯坦人, I am from Pakistan, right? Okay, so this is a very useful one. Don't forget this dialogue and try to use this like question like to ask your classmate or your friend, 你是哪国人? Okay. And also in lesson 2, we learned a short form question, like questions with 呢, which means what about you? What about you? Right? And this one, because this is 呢, it's like abbreviated question, right? It's not a full form, it's a short form of question. But in a certain context, the meaning, the specific meaning of this 呢 question can be like inferred from the context. So each 呢 question, its meaning is certain. Okay? So like this one, 我是中国人，你呢? I am Chinese, what about you? So this, what about you, in this context means what's your nationality or where are you from? So its meaning is certain in this context, right? Okay, next one. 我学习汉语，你呢? I study Chinese, what about you? So this, what about you, in this context means what do you study, right? So I study Chinese, what about you? So this 你呢? What about you? Means what do you study? So you can see this, its meaning according to the context is certain. Okay, so in each like specified context, this 呢 question, the meaning of the 呢 question can be inferred. Okay. Okay, so this is the dialogues by far we have learned. Okay, so don't like forget some very basic items like greeting items, 你好 or 您好, and what's your nationality, right? 你是哪国人? 你是哪国人? And don't forget the meaning of each word. So if we translate word by word, how to translate this one? 你是哪国人? If we make a literal translation, so how to translate this question? 你是哪国人? Anyone remember? 你是哪国人? You are which country person or people, right? You are which country people? So this is a literal translation, which means where are you from? Okay. Okay, let's make a pause and then we continue.